I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I have dedicated last 10 years of my life to build startups around telecommunications, trying to solve the lack of internet access in emerging countries, specifically in Latin America. I am from Ecuador, born and raised. Then I went to school here in Miami, where I am right now. And I started going back and forth between Ecuador and Miami, where I saw these lots of needs down there, technology wise, connectivity wise, which it's an opportunity for any entrepreneur. So I pursued that. Um, I developed the first Wi-Fi marketing platform in Latin America back in 2012. After that, what I did, I worked as a regional Wi-Fi marketing director for a multinational company where I led teams in 6 countries, and we connected shy of 50 million people with that platform that I previously developed. That was a couple of years. Then I realized that we were connecting people that actually didn't actually needed the internet. This was more focused on businesses to be able to get data from their incoming users, like restaurants or
Mhm.
retail. They wanted to know who was visiting their stores, but the need was actually a lot bigger.
Yes.
So after that, my previous startup from the one I'm doing now, it was aimed to help businesses at the bottom of the pyramid to make money by sharing their Wi-Fi, because these small businesses, they couldn't afford paying for a Wi-Fi marketing platform, but they did have internet in their premises. So they needed an easy and affordable and profitable way to share that with their users or with their instant community. These are people that usually do everything they shop, they do in these small convenience stores around their neighborhoods in Latin America. So this product was super successful. It was doing great until COVID, because all these stores had to close. And then what I did, I tried to reach out to large providers and small providers in Latin America and say, hey, I have this platform. Maybe we can work together. We can use every single device that you have out there today, and
Yep.
we can use this platform, open a new SSID, which is a Wi-Fi network. When you see the name of a Wi-Fi network, that's the SSID, is the name of the
Okay.
Wi-Fi. And everybody who connects to that network was going to make them some revenue. And after a couple of months of debating about it with them, trying to get them to get on board, they decided not to do it because, and I quote, we are not focused on connecting more people to the internet, but we're focused on bringing new technologies to our current clientele. So they are basically upselling their premium clients more stuff, which is okay,
Yeah, yeah. You gotta
but
make your
that,
money. Yeah.
yeah, they gotta make their money, but that leaves a great gap to be filled. And that's where we
Yep.
came in. And then I realized that there was so many people disconnected today due to various reasons. Maybe it was either too expensive where they live, or
Yep.
maybe it was they just didn't have the availability of the connectivity where they lived. So when I talk to these other providers, they usually don't go and expand their networks because the capex problem is super high, and then that's for the big providers. And the small
Mhm.
providers have the same problem, but on top of that, they have the problem that the marketing efforts are not good enough competing against the big brothers, right?
Yes.
Against the big telco in those countries. So they're just cannibalizing against the small providers, and then the big providers are they're getting their way, right? They're getting everything for
So
them.
same game, right?
So yeah, so it's an insane game. So, and just for the record, people might think that there's just a couple of providers in every country. The reality is that there's a monopoly of a couple of providers, an oligopoly of a couple of providers managing the whole telecom sector. But about 30 to 40% of the market share, it's being provided by small providers. So in Ecuador, for example, where I'm from,
Yep.
how many internet providers do you think there are
Let me
in
guess.
Ecuador?
Yeah. Three.
It's just okay. There's over
I'm
850.
like, no, I'm thinking, well, three large ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
so
there's
they're all small then.
yeah. So the idea is to well, when I was interviewing them, they said it's very hard to expand. So our idea is to not just allow anybody in the community to build their own networks in the future, but to onboard all these small providers to become this one large network,
Yep.
decentralized 100%, because it's going to be operated by different actors, right? But for the final user, they're just being able to connect anywhere that they go.
Okay.
So yeah,
So,
that's kind of
so,
like the premise.
so you essentially are then organizing these 800 providers so that way that more people can have access to the internet.
So that's going to be that's farther ahead on our roadmap, and we
Okay.
call that the Federation of ISPs. What we are
Okay.
doing today
Yeah, let's break
What
that
we're
down.
doing
Let's go in.
right. So what we're doing today, we started roughly 9 months ago. It was just me and a landing page. I got selected to an accelerator in Puerto Rico called Parallel 18, and then Paula, she's my co-founder, she
Yep.
came on board as well. And then a couple months later, Edward, who is my CTO today, he came on board as well, and we got selected to the Algorand Miami Accelerator then. Now, when we did this, thanks to these two accelerators, now we have deployed our first internet node, and we have deployed our platform on the testnet. So what we're doing today, we are deploying the nodes ourselves, and we're going to continue to do that during this year. And we're working on something called Node Operators Program. And there's different types of operators, but the idea is to allow anybody to get a off-the-shelf device, configure that device, and expand our coverage, expand our network. And for providing that connectivity, they will be rewarded in our tokens. So the first step is us becoming the first internet nodes, because this is chicken and egg problem. If you don't have a network, you don't have users. If you don't have users, nobody's going to want to deploy a network. So what we're going to do, we're going to deploy the first networks to get the first users, and then we get that ball rolling. So then we will allow anybody else to tap into the network, create their own node to provide connectivity in their own town or neighborhood. And that's when we start expanding the network. After we get to that second step, which is node operators onboarding, we're going to go to the third step, which is the Federation of ISPs. And that's when we are going to go to the small providers and say, hey, instead of fighting against other small providers, why don't you just become an operator for Wayru, and we'll onboard the users, we'll do the marketing, we'll do that part of the business, and they solely focus, and they will focus solely on the operations of the network, which is their forte, right? Because most of these small providers are telecom engineers that they didn't get a job in a big company, so they opened their small company. So there's hundreds of thousands of these engineers trying to create, small entrepreneurs. So we are going to help them be more profitable and reach more people while being part of a massive decentralized network. So at the end of the day, there's no centralized entity managing the internet that we use every day.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk more about that. So this internet again, because I'm thinking of Nigeria. At one point last year, they got their Twitter banned, so they had to use, a lot of people were using VPNs and things of that nature. With Wayru, would they have to use VPNs? I'm asking. It will be a fully decentralized where there will be no blocking. They can use whatever they need to use on the internet. Is that kind of
So the VPN is something that will be added on farther ahead as well.
Okay.
So we are going to add that as a service as well. But what we can promise as a provider is that we are not going to have access to your personal information that like other providers do, and they make profit out of your information, right? By selling that to companies that are basically going to target you with ads.
Yes.
So that's something that is not going to happen in this case. But in every country, there'll be some type of regulations, right?
Yep.
So what we are trying to avoid is centralized private companies to own infrastructures and to own the accessibility to the internet for people. So us as private companies won't be able to ban that. No.
Okay. Passive income, passive income, passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to purchase rentals and get passive income, passive income, passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to